Hey,
Hey,
Mac.
gentlemen, we're live.
We're live. How
Chris,
come
Yeah,
we're?
well,
What
I
is
haven't
this
seen you
emergency
forever.
meeting? Yeah, I know. I'm holidaying. Like I just work the page and let you do the techie stuff. What
You
is
know,
up
we
with this emergency meeting there, Mackenzie? That I had to be pulled off of all my projects.
yeah. Well, I got you out of the garden, so thanks for coming back to the screen there, Chris. And you know what? We had a phone call this morning, and I thought it was too good not to share with the community. There's some nuances to running this business that make it so much easier or so much more difficult depending on how you approach situations with difficult tenants and unreasonable demands. So let's have this. Let's rehash the same phone call we had. We have not even told Bill why he's on the air. He must trust us. He just shows up to these live shows, no script, nothing, and
I'm
still
here for
finishing
the
on.
sandwiches, man. Where are the free sandwiches?
Well, you got some pork, just finishing your pork chops. But let's get into the thick of it. So, Chris, I know we're talking how I'm an IT guy. I like the finesse conversation. I like to be everyone's friend, which is for better or worse. And you're more of the law enforcement background, a little bit more abrasive perhaps, and maybe you're more of a straight edge. You might be going right through that China shop with a few things broken, but we get to the same solution typically at the end. So the scenario is we've got difficult tenants. Someone's had a hot water go on the weekend. It's August long weekend. We're Tuesday. We're just off a long weekend. Hot water tank breaks down right through the middle of the long weekend. Really expensive repair. You call out a plumber after hours on a long weekend. You're probably, adding 30, 40, 50% to that cost of getting that hot water tank repaired. So the landlord goes, yeah, I've got someone next business day to come out. We'll have the hot water tank replaced. And the tenant comes back and says, well, I want hot water now. It's going to be 2 days without hot water. I want it now. So how do we handle this, Chris? What's your thoughts on this? I think you had a great analogy, and I want you to rehash this conversation.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll just apologize ahead of time for hurt feelings. And if you go into topics, into our top of the page, there's a hurt feelings report, and you can fill that out and send it into Mackenzie later. So here's my thing: is I'm not picking on the person who, by any means, by the post. The actual posts are good in that it creates discussion, and wow, here we are in a discussion. So from a business perspective, here's my analogy of that. You have someone who says you have a demand for service and expectations of service because they're paying for something. So you want the hot water, they want the hot water tank replaced. You as a landlord, absolutely, you want to replace the hot water tank. But on the average, a hot water tank full replacement install, supply and install is $1,200 approximately. That's a
Yeah,
fairly
give or
good
take.
average
Sure.
to put a new hot water tank in. If it's one of the normal ones, if it's it's an HE high efficiency ones or whatever, they're more expensive. But the standard gas one that you put in, they're $1,200.
Hmm.
And then this is on a long weekend or a Sunday for that matter, or a Saturday or Sunday for that matter of a weekend when you're away. So you've arranged for somebody to come in at the first opportunity of the very first business day, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I think there has to be reasonable expectation from your client, the tenant, that it's not like it's no gas, there's no heat in the house, and it's 40 below. That's different. You're out some water, and some great points were put up is that boil some water, clean some things. And does all your laundry have to be done in hot water? Oh my God, no. Like some of it can be done in cold water. And the people are coming back apparently from, excuse me, a camping trip, and they want to get cleaned up and ready. And fair enough, but there are ways to get around some of this stuff. And do I go out to um, the laundromat or car wash that has the people showers that can be used, and who pays for that, and on it goes. And I've kind of added a little bit to the thing. But at the end of the day, to your tenant this: say, if you own a house and you need your hot water in right now, you're the owner of the house and you want your hot water, and you phone a guy says, yeah, it's going to be $1,800 for you to put that tank in today. But if you wait till the first business day when I'm back to work, it's going to be $1,200. So do you think that tenant, as a homeowner now, will be willing to put out the $600, or they're going to say to the kids, you know what, kids, suck it up. A little cold water immersion's healthy for you once in a while. So So from that perspective, if you put it back to them that way, who's willing to put the money out? Well, if they say no, we want it, then ask them for the $600, and they still demand that they're paying rent, they're making their demands. Maybe at rent renewal or lease renewal, maybe they're not the right client for you, and that their expectations of service are a little too high. Let me give you an analogy that I gave Mac earlier. You go buy your $80,000 pickup truck. It's 1 year old and it breaks down on the highway Saturday night. Do you have an expectation of Ford or GM to give you a rental vehicle to get you through? Have you thought that part out? Do you have an expectation of them to give you a rental vehicle? You're still paying for that truck. Who's going to get you from A to B? Nothing. We all know the answer to that. Nothing is going to happen. Your truck's going to get towed under the warranty to the nearest dealership when you're on holidays, so wherever that is, and you're going to get a hotel room and you're going to suck it up and you're going to deal with it. So give your tenant that analogy as well. Service expectations, in my view, only go so far. There's my little rant on that.
I want to smooth out some of the edges of what Chris has just unpacked there, because
were they a little sharp? I'm sorry.
I got pricked twice. That's okay. I wasn't counting. So there's some good information there, and I think, Chris, what you provided is a really good tool for a landlord to diffuse unreasonable expectations around the cost of running a rental property and still maintain a good relationship with the tenant. So you came back and said, okay, tenant's demanding for a hot water tank, which is completely reasonable. Hot water is a basic need, like with hands out. We're not complaining about that. You've got it. The next possible business day to get repaired is $1,200. We know, just for argument's sake, let's say if you want it done on the long weekend within, as soon as possible within 2 hours, it's going to cost $1,800, $2,000. You go back to the tenant, you give them the opportunity. And when we talked on the phone, we didn't really mention this here on the call. Let's go over it now. You said, well, hey, Mr. Tenant, if you're in my shoes and you're a homeowner and you had a choice to get the hot water tank replaced for $1,200 on Monday, and today's Sunday or Saturday, or you can pay an extra $600 and have the hot water tank replaced in 2 hours, what would you do? And the reasonable person with common sense will, yeah, you know what? I would probably go a day without hot water and make things work. Perfect. And if they're still grinding your gears on it, I like how you position it, Chris. You said, hey, you know what? No problem. I'm going to pay the $1,200. So it's my responsibility as a landlord to provide you hot water. However, if you want to expedite the service and you demand you want hot water this Saturday afternoon after hours, pay the $600. I'm happy to arrange a service call and see what the tenant says. And I love how that's been positioned. And it spins it around. It forces the tenant to access their demands as either reasonable or unreasonable and take ownership. If they actually want that service at hot water in 2 hours, they can pay the premium price of $600. It's not our responsibility to, at any given time on Christmas Eve to provide hot water or whatever. I mean, certainly heat in the winter is a bit of a different story. You got to get that fixed, especially as soon as possible. But if it's mild temperatures, again, maybe it's 5 degrees out and it's in December and the furnace goes. And, and the forecast shows you it's not going below zero. But let them run some space heaters and get that furnace replaced the next business day as well.
What's Uncle Bill think?
Bill, how was the pork chops? We dragged you in the call. You have no idea what was going on until we got you here. Unpack this with us. What's your thoughts when you have this tenant situation demanding hot water tanks be replaced within 2 hours?
Absolutely right. So let me share some stories. I personally have been out of heat in minus 30 weather, and it's been almost 48 hours to get the guys in because when it's minus 34, they're really busy. So, there's no way around it. I've also had my tenants have their heat go out at minus 30 weather at midnight. And I was actually able to get somebody there in 5 hours. But I had 5 tenants in the place, and I felt it was my responsibility to get it done. A lot of this is going to come down to nuance. I don't take it very well when tenants demand stuff of me. It's hard to tell in the context of the message on the forum in Facebook how demanding it was. But as soon as some tenant starts demanding that I do things, my hackles get up a little bit. And it's like, that's great that that's what you think, but here's reality. I will do this in a timely manner. And I like the idea of, here's what it's going to be. I'll have somebody there Tuesday morning, first thing. If you feel it's more of an urgent matter and you want to pay all the overtime and extra charges, we can get it done sooner. I'll get you a check for $1,200 to cover that, and you can cover the rest. And kind of put it back on them, much like you said. And it's back to reasonable expectations. You know, you're given a certain amount of time to deal with things, and hot water, you know, if it was full water, that might be one thing. But if it was just hot water, that's an entirely different thing.
Boil some water. It's manageable to go without for a little while.
Exactly. You know, and if they were great, fantastic tenants, you know what? Here's $200 to go spend the night at a hotel if you want to go have showers and get cleaned up. You know, but it's back to, are they demanding? Are they distraught and in desperate need? Where is that line? And it's different every time when you're talking to people.
So many nuances that we can't get out of the Facebook post, like you said, Bill. So
here, I got one. I'm going to throw a Bill here. You have a 3-bedroom place with one washroom. The toilet, because it's an older place, you know, you keep up on your maintenance on the best part, but the toilet over time has started to move. And as a result of that, the flange that holds the toilet broke free because it's an older style one with a metal flange. So the toilet is pretty much starting to waver now, and the tenant, you get a hold of who you can because it's late. They decided that this toilet broke now, even though it's been shaking for the past 3 or 4 weeks and not calling you. Today it broke. So now they don't have a toilet to use, and they're saying that well, you need to provide them with a hotel for the night while you're waiting for the plumber to come in the next day to get it. Thoughts on that?
McDonald's has, now that COVID's done, there's toilets available in McDonald's, gas stations.
Even plain math, you know, to get my plumber out there on a weekend, it's probably going to end up costing me $200. It's going to be about the same to get the hotel room. I just go ahead and get it done. You know, typically with one toilet like that, I'd also give them the spiel of, okay, obviously this didn't happen overnight. It's been an issue for a week or 2 weeks or a month. What made you decide to call me today? You know,
when it broke.
You might not even been able to get a hold of me today. Who knows what I was doing? I could have been out in the field doing something for the whole day without cell phone service. You know, you could have been 2 days behind before I even knew about this. Mm-hmm. Whenever there's an issue, let me know in advance and we can get on top of it. If you're waiting till the last minute, it may not get fixed, and you may be spending your own dime on the hotel.
Yep. Well,
and again, tenant by tenant.
Yeah, it was my tenant, and that was my story, and that's exactly how it played out. But what I did with them was, there was a reasonable hotel here, and I had a guy lined up to fix it the next day. So I said, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, you know, you've been here 3 years. Why wouldn't I?" You know what? It's a balance. So you know what? I paid the hotel room. They all got to go enjoy it. They can come back.
And they didn't demand anything, did they?
Well, there was one point that got my hackles up a little bit when it said, "How is this on me?" Well, that was from my tenant. And I'm thinking, do I bite on that or do I just go with the flow? Yeah. So I didn't bite on that.
Ooh, so this was a good day.
Yeah,
this was a good day.
It was a good day. And I just said, you know what? I've arranged for a hotel for you. And you can go down, and they did. And you know what? And now, is my rent always paid on time? Yeah. If my rent's a day late, does she phone me? Absolutely. Does that hall have value to me? Absolutely. So you know what? The give and take. And do I buy my renter, a gift certificate at Christmas for food at the store? Yeah, I do all that stuff. So that's what got my craw up, was, how is this on me? Sorry, I had to give that little expression, but but at the end of the day, the give and take, you can see it revert back to, I want more, I expect more. I'm sorry. Do you pay me late? And do I give you gift certificates? Yeah. Can we just work together here and not be, adversarial? And
before I tell you that the hotel is actually in Sweetgrass.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. Or full of sweetgrass that you can smoke and relax a little bit. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of getting digressing here, but Mac, you want to jump in and smooth this out? You go right ahead.
No. So I think it's great because like me being, I want to avoid confrontation, and I have done in the past where I've spent stupid amount of money to repair an issue I could have done for a fraction of the cost if I had just waited to the next business day. But the tenants caught me, they pressured me, and I didn't know how to handle the situation. Being a little bit older and wiser and a little bit more experienced and having a conversation with gentlemen like you guys, where we've been through the trenches a bit, to say, there's better ways to handle this. And I think some of the context and putting the questions back on the tenant to ask them what's reasonable makes it a bit easier. So I think that's why this conversation I thought was so valuable and important to have on the forum. We'll segue on a completely different note. We'll wrap up this quick little video because that's all it's supposed to be. It's quick. It's Chris.
Oh, wait. There's that one other one. It's about it was, and again, I just want to qualify what we're saying. It's about a situation where there's a clog and whose responsibilities are they? Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
So, and very nicely is that those simple things like that, a clogged drain where a tenant doesn't know what to do, whatever, those are our responsibilities as landlords. And you say, well, do I hire a plumber to go figure out what's wrong with the drain? You know what? 99, I'm gonna go 95. 95% of the time, it's just a little trap or something that's buggered up. And sometimes you have to get your hands dirty and just go unscrew the trap, clean it out, stick your finger in there, take some bleach if you're feeling you need to clean up. And sometimes you have to get dirty to make money. And this is one of those cases. And I attached a little fun video I did back in 2019 to that post, because what happens is hair goes down the drain and they get caught in those little cross pieces that are in the drain. And they eventually build up.
A needle-nose pair of pliers can fix.
A needle-nose pair of pliers, right? And a Timmy's on the way, which is $2.50 or whatever you want to spend, unless you want to go latte or something like that, or an ice cap. But anyway, so you know what? Just go and fix the damn thing. And the question is, should I upset my tenant, over nickel and diming? Don't ask the question on the page for other landlords to validate a reason for you to nickel and dime your tenants.
They want a feel-good answer.
You're looking for that. The answer simply is just fix it. And if you need to hire a plumber, it's on you. If the plumber gets there and said, somebody stuffed a whole bunch of toys down there and this happened and that happened, and the tenant goes, oh, that's where all those marbles went. I wondered where my kids' toys were. Okay, boom, it's their problem. All right. If you can't figure it out, you know what? It's a cost of doing business. And we're in business to make money, and making money costs money. So get your needle nose pliers out, try that first, pull that water hair out, watch that video that I posted there. I had fun making the video, and it was legit. I actually had to go dig it out, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the point that we kind of made a decision on the page today where we want to keep the quality of content really good for landlords, to keep the process of learning, because this is a difficult business, was if it's, going back to this example with the plug drain, you don't want to nickel and dime the tenant by your debating a $150 charge for a clogged bathtub. That's your judgment call. The page isn't the best form to get a feel-good answer to justify charging the tenant. Either you're going to charge them $150 or you're going to run over and do it yourself. It's got to be your judgment call. That doesn't. There's no value in that kind of conversation on the page, and that's kind of where I wanted to bring the second part of the conversation to with you, Chris. So, and we had good response on that post that you put up this morning.
Third-party questions.
Third-party questions. That's right. So,
Bill,
okay.
Your thoughts on that before we go? You have the last minute.
We briefly touched on this where somebody's going, I have a friend who's got a brother who's got a cousin who knew this guy who rented out, and it worked this way. Is it still like that? There's so many different variances in that. There's so little information. Do your homework, do your research, figure out what you're doing. You did a rant on this already this morning, Chris.
Me? Mm-hmm. I don't rant. What are you guys talking about?
You did a discussion on this morning already, Chris.
The discussion.
It's so hard. We talked about this at the beginning. There's so many different nuances with how we deal with these situations. If we don't have all the facts, if we don't have all the information, it just changes everything. And we're seeing this more and more as, well, ultimately, a lot of people on the page are getting lazy. They're looking for the short, sweet answer without providing all the information. And if you don't have all the information, you can't get the right answer. So either do a little bit of your own research, make sure you have all the details that can answer, and then move forward. And you guys aren't alone. I see this all over the place, and I forget what the one yesterday was, but somebody asked, it was a North American landlord group, and somebody said, where can I find an appliance repair person? They didn't even bother to put down where they were. It's like, that's all they asked.
Yeah.
And, it's like, think about this. How is somebody going to answer your question if they don't have enough details to actually answer it? So,
yeah.
Did that help with your discussion, Chris?
I want to say, though, and all fun, it's a little bit of a rant from us as the administrators and people that are here to help you, is we want to help, but we also need you to help yourself. And helping yourself sometimes is putting some thought through what it is what's the basis, the real deep down root problem. And if you get to that, then you can pretty much manage it. But if you're surfacing, if you're taking the surface issues and you're trying to band-aid everything, you're never going to get it fixed. You don't have enough fingers to plug the dikes, right? So find out what the root of the problem is and go after that. So that's all I can say. We're here to help you. We want to help, but try to guide some of those questions in there.
And I guess one more thing to add is just scroll back through some of the comments and questions in there, because we're seeing the same stuff like day after day. And I get to the point where I'll just kind of take a quick peek at the first 3 or 4 questions that are up there. And it's like, wow, I think I just answered this the other day. Should I copy and paste my answer, or should I just go help somebody else with something? So,
yeah. Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. That's why I put up that survey the other day, was who has a copy of the RTA? Who's actually reviewed the RTA? And I kind of led myself through, and who watches the show, and who knows it's on YouTube. And we have a few responses there, but it's interesting because it dwindled down. But at the end of the day, I would say probably 85 to 90% of the questions that are asked here are on the YouTube channel that we invest our time to help you guys run your business better. And we just want you to be successful. There's a certain thrill out of helping people that we get and seeing you guys successful. And please help yourself by going back and watching some of our videos and going back and reading some of the posts. Bill, go ahead.
I think the thing is, we want to help, but you got to help yourself a little bit too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. And like, we're not saying don't ask questions, of course not. We're just saying, if you show you've put some effort and you've researched and you don't understand, because sometimes the interpretation is difficult. That's the wisdom of this group coming through and saying, someone speaks up. Helen in our group, she's a really good contributor all the time. I see your comment, provide good information, provide you this or that. And you know what? There might be 3 or 4 different ways to answer the same question. Bill might have a solution, and Chris might have a solution completely different. And I might even have a third take on it, and they might be all valid in one way or another, depending on how you are as a landlord or as a person, and what way you operate and what you find is easier. So what we're saying is, get that research first, show us that you've put some effort in, and if you're still struggling, this group will come in and help you get to the next level. That's what we do really well as a community.
Yeah, I read this section of the Residential Tenancy Act, and I'm still a little bit confused. What is your interpretation of that? That's huge. Yeah. That tells me that once this sinks in, once you get that, you get the layman version of it. Boy, you've got power now and knowledge. And one last thing from me. The Residential Tenancy Act is not there in favor of the tenant. The Residential Tenancy Act is a leveling field, because no matter what you write in your contracts, at the end of the day, if there's a dispute, the Residential Tenancy Act prevails. Follow the rules. They're in place to keep everybody playing fairly. And when a tenant, don't change the rules is what I'm saying. As soon as you change the rules, then the tenant will take advantage of you, or in other cases, the tenant can be taken advantage of. Follow the rules as a tenant or as a landlord, and everything will always balance out.
Absolutely. There you go. All right, gentlemen, thanks for this impromptu conversation. And we actually went 25 minutes, so a little bit longer than I expected, but we added a good conversation.
I got to go lie down now.
Chris hasn't been on for he's been off all summer. He just wanted to jam pack one question into 25 minutes, and he made it work well. So here we are.
I got to go lay down now.
We could have just summated this a lot with, single key, read the Residential Tenancy Act, and 90 days after conditions are removed on a month-to-month tenancy. That would have just answered a lot of the questions right there.
3 months. It's not 90 days. It's 3 months.
Three full months.
Yeah, 3 full months.
3 full months could be different than 90 days. It could be 89, 91, 92, whatever. And don't get caught in devil.
Could be almost 120.
That's right.
Well,
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it's simple as this. House sold. They got to give notice. Notice is 90 days notice to the tenant. You give it on the 20th of August, let's say. No, let's say you give it today. So whatever day is the 3rd. Well, it doesn't actually kick in until September 1st. You get September, October, and November. They don't have to leave till November 30th at noon.
Right.
That's 90 days.
And that's on a month-to-month.
It's a month-to-month.
You can't end a fixed contract. It's not even doable. It's fixed for a reason. It's fixed for both parties. Why would you, as a landlord, get out of a contract if the tenant can't get out of it? It goes both ways. So hands down.
There you go. You all have a great week.
Happy landlording.
Happy landlording,
Thanks,
everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye now.
Rant on.
We'll be back again with another random video some point in the future. You can be sure.